Hello and welcome to another one of these things. And thank you very much for being there, for your continued support. I didn't even expect these things to be going for as long as they are. So thank you. I hope that the weather is gorgeous where you are. It's absolutely stunning here in the Yorkshire Dales. It's beautiful outside. It's perfect outside, in fact. And there's not even that many midges so far. So yeah, really, really good. I'm going to jump into these questions because my head's all over the fucking place today. So I'm going to try and focus on what you lot are wanting to know. And the first one is from Joe, who asks, oh, a good meaty one to start with. What are you scared of? What am I scared of? Dinosaurs. What am I scared of? Well, I moved here to the countryside for that reason. I moved to the countryside and had a big list of things that I was scared of, and worked on them one by one and beat all the major ones, really. Oh, I'm going to say, I haven't done my little thing. Here we go. Yeah, I beat all my major fears, all the normal ones that people fear. Now, I guess my biggest fear now is ego, lack of control. I think when you beat all your big ones, like fear of being alone, fear of fitness. My fitness was always a concern before. I was always scared to just tackle that because I knew there was a lot of work to be done there. And you tackle things like your faith. What is it about? What is the point? And so yeah, now my biggest fear is losing self-control. I guess that's the one thing that makes me question how much control you've got. It's always there, the possibility that your desires will take over, or your old habits. I mean, it's all ego and subconscious. I mean, that's probably really my main fear is ego, which is attached to your subconscious. But all the stuff, the past, that self. I guess it's your fear of yourself. I don't know. I'm waffling now. I'm in a waffly mood today, so if I do tend to waffle, then put the kettle on. But yeah, that's my biggest fear, is not having self-control. Michael R says, first question is a spicy one, but I'm curious. Of all your songs, I find the sweetest song the hardest to listen to because it appears to be so mean-spirited. What are your thoughts on that song now? And the second part of the question is non-spicy. Thanks to you, I've got into Sparks. I'm looking forward to seeing them play live. Have you seen Sparks live? If so, what era was it? Right, first one, the sweetest song. The history. History's a weird one. The past is a weird one because I listened to It Came From the North the other day, and I wasn't really expecting it. I wasn't strong enough in my current kind of present, how I'm feeling right now. I wasn't ready for how much it was going to take me right back to the spirit in which the songs were written and recorded, and that whole time post-COVID and all that. Fuck me up for days, in fact. And that's what I find if I listen to any of my older songs. I find I'm back in that place that I was, and you've really got to be strong within your own mind to look back at the past, and face the person that you were before. Presumably, we're always doing work on ourselves. We're always bettering ourselves, and so anytime you look at the past, it'll be a bit of a, oh God, he was a bit of a cunt, wasn't he? Or look how far I've come, or whatever. You got to be really good and secure in yourself right now to take that peek into the way that you were, because it's not supposed to be good. You should be better. So therefore you look at your past, and especially with lyrics, you look at the person you were, and a lot of the lyrics I used to write, and I don't tend to write lyrics like that now. Who knows? I might turn into a cunt any point. But there's a lot of anger, a lot of suppressed frustration and aggression. A lot of it seems really petty now. Some of it's, it's substantial, like anger at fucking governments or the way society works. And some of it's just a little bit bitchy. The Sweetest Song is one of them. It's one of the most unpleasant lyrics that I ever wrote, and I fucking can't even listen to songs like that. I couldn't listen to that song now unless there was a hefty amount of money in it. And thankfully, that's never going to really be anything I need to worry about, so I won't go back and listen to it. Some songs are written about, you get the feeling that you want to write a song about something, and you pull in a lot of different things from a lot of different people and different experiences, and then some songs are written about someone, and the sweetest song was written about someone, and therefore it's just too mean-spirited for me to want to go back and revisit. Sparks, I've seen Sparks tons of times, I'm glad to say. The first was round about Little Beethoven time. They did a tour, and ever since then I want to see Sparks every tour that they do, and they're always great. But it's basically the same show that you always see whenever you see Sparks. They tend to play a lot of the later songs. They don't tend to play a lot of the deeper cuts, although they will throw in something like Sherlock Holmes or something. But the Sparks show is just great. But I did get a ticket to see Sparks. And it was this private show, and they did in a little theatre. I forget where it was, somewhere in London. And we got tickets in there. I was just like really hungover and thinking, no, do I really want to bother? Yeah, but it's Sparks. And we got down there, and it was fucking front row. And it was a really intimate show. So I was like, further away from this screen than I was from them. And it was just brilliant. The power of music, and it got rid of me hangover, and I felt a lot better about everything. But, it really got to show me how professional Sparks are. After all this time, they still have got this dedication to putting on a great show, singing and playing at their absolute best. They're still ridiculously fit for whatever age they are now. You don't even think about age when you think about Sparks. I mean, they still appear to be timeless. It's not even like they're trying to cling on to their youth, because Ron Mail never really struck me as being particularly young, but he still just maintains a level of fitness that enables him to do the job that I really respect. So I fucking love Sparks, and we'll get to see them every single time that they play, just because one day they won't be there, and that isn't a world I really want to think about existing in. Ian Smith asks, I have some questions about the Monster of Rock 1994 festival where you headlined the second stage. Number one was there a reason you wore goggles on stage? This is from Ian Smith, by the way. Ian, I don't think of anything. One of my strengths, and probably the cause of a lot of the problems in my life, is that I don't think things through very much. I just get this idea that seems like a good idea, and then I do it. I don't think myself out of things or into things. The Monsters of Rock thing, 1994. I'll take that. At least written on this bit of paper, 1994. I can't fucking remember what year it was. I would have found a pair of goggles backstage and put them on, and that would have been the absolute maximum. I was thinking about those goggles. Since then, they've been in tons and tons of pictures, and everyone thinks, why don't you wear the goggles again? It was like, just like wearing a fucking one of those cones on your head or something. Stupid thing that seems to have worked better than I planned on doing. But that whole day was weird because we broke up before we went on stage. So as far as I was concerned, that was the last gig we were ever going to do. I was going to smash all my gear up, so I didn't even have an option to do another gig, which I successfully did, but still wasn't the last gig that we ever played. So we've been breaking up since 1994 officially. Probably before then. God, 1994, that was fucking so long ago. Really weird. So I'm glad I don't live in the past at all, because it will remind you how fucking long you've been here. And this is it's a long time. We're alive a long time. Oh, here we go. Something just come up on my feed. Monster Rock 94. Oh, yes. Donington Park. Before it was called Download. Oh, look at the bands, man. Yeah, Therapy, Pantera, Sepultura, Aerosmith. Fuck me. That's ridiculous. But yeah, we'd broken up just before we played. And yeah, that's how much thought that went into the actual show itself. I just thought, yep, fuck you, see you, bye. Did you interact with any other bands on the bill? I'm sitting remember hanging out with Biohazard. Paths used to cross paths with Biohazard a lot. I remember just not hanging out or being friends, but seeing Billy a lot and just chatting. We probably, guaranteed I would have been up all night the night before. I would have been pissed out my head by the time other people were getting out of bed. I can't remember anything about the day. I can't even remember the gig, so I can't remember if we hung out with any of the bands, all of the bands, none of the bands. It's a complete mystery. But then most of the 90s are a bit of a mystery. Who was my favourite artist on the day? I can't even remember. I mean, Sepultura and Pantera technically would have been my favourite artist, but I can't remember seeing them. So weird. I can't remember seeing anyone that day. A weird one. Pantera or Sepultura as a band? Oh, it's impossible. Round about that Arise and Vulgar Display, couldn't put a piece of paper between them. Both as good as each other. Couldn't pick one. Couldn't pick one. And do you have any other stories from the day? Unfortunately, I haven't. I don't even know why I'm answering this, because my memory is such that it's pointless trying to go back in time a lot of the time, because I don't fucking have any memory. But no, I don't have any more stories from that day other than I fucking hated the whole day, start to finish. Steve Murphy asks, I know you're a big fan of Ramones. Did you ever get to meet any of them? And if so, what were they like? I met Dee at one of his gigs, and he was absolutely wasted. So, that was like just meeting someone drunk. I met CJ Ramone a couple of times in New York, being out for drinks with him. He's fucking lovely. Just a good old fucking American boy. Marky, I met a few times. I met Marky also once at a Kerrang Awards, where he was being interviewed by someone who had no idea who he was. And I figured, what a weird thing that someone doesn't know who Marky Ramone is. And so I snatched the mic off and interviewed him, and that was fun. And I think we both enjoyed that. And I met Joey Ramone a few times when I was in New York. And the thing I always remember about Joey Ramone is that he was always surrounded by people. He was just such a well-loved person, and he was so pleasant and so meek. Considering in this business, you got people that are fucking sausages. They're full of nothing, and they've pumped themselves up to be this big thing. And Joey Ramone was the opposite. He was just such a lovely, passionate, deep kind of person who just came off as this everyman. And you got to remember that this was before there was all these names for neuro divergences. He had a lot of things wrong with him before people knew that he had anything wrong with him. ADD and OCD and things like this that didn't have names for them. So he was just this oddball. But Joey Ramone was probably not going to do well in life based on how his bad health and things that were mentally wrong with him. And Ramones turned him into this icon. And that just the power of music, the power of you can be a weirdo and you can still do well in music. I've always loved that. That's where I came in, just wanting to be accepted and taken a little bit seriously in life, and then being able to make a career out of it. It's like for people like me and people like Joey Ramone, we weren't going to do well on the other side, working in jobs and stuff like that. And it probably looked like we were both going to end up being alcoholics and dying from that. I love Joey Ramone. First time I met Joey Ramone was we were doing a showcase with the Throbs. That's right. We had someone from a big record company, Geffen, I think it was, coming down. And we were doing a big showcase. I just went to New York, just joined the band. And all these record company people are walking in and out. And Joey Ramone just arrives, sits down with two girls, and me just thinking, this is the most important performance of my life. And we were just about to start. And the guitar player, Roger, just smashed up his Les Paul. I'm thinking, that's fucking wild. And speaking to him yesterday and just going, what was with the smashing up of the guitar? I was looking forward to playing. And he went, well, actually, I tipped the guitar when no one was looking, and it landed on the headstock, and it cracked the headstock, and I realised I had no guitar. So I thought I'll just get it and just smash it up, because it would be embarrassed otherwise. And I just figured that was pretty fucking rock and roll. And Joey was there to see it. But people say, have you met them? I've probably been out for the night with Ramones, and can't remember anything about it. But they were the ones that I remember anyway. Danny asks, have you ever met a band while wearing their band shirt? I have no idea. I gather that's a bad thing, wearing a band shirt to a band concert. I never really think things through, so I probably have been talking to someone in a band while wearing their shirt, and I have no idea. My neighbours are elderly people, and Phil, our producer, was round here, and I was wearing a T-shirt that said, it's not worth a fuck if it ain't stiff, which is a Stiff Records shirt. And I didn't even think anything about it until I realised that. Imagine being an old person and this lovely neighbour of yours is wearing this thing about erections, because they wouldn't have known what Stiff Records were. So they were talking about how this T-shirt was in reference to my pecker. And so I don't think about things enough. I don't think about things and fuck the consequences. But I don't think about t-shirts I'm wearing. But I've got a t-shirt. I did think about this one actually. Phil had this made for me, and I am proudly wearing it. And we're talking about doing some Ask Ginger live shows today, actually, and I'd like to do them just to make this available to people. But yeah, I don't think much about anything, to be honest. If you were a Wild Arts fan, what question would you ask yourself that nobody else has asked you? And that is from Danny. I would ask myself, what do you think the fucking Wild Arts should sound like? That's one of the things I read people going like, oh, it doesn't sound like this, or it sounds like a solo song, or that doesn't sound like the Wild. I have no idea what the fucking Wild Arts is supposed to sound like. So I would like someone to ask me, what do you think they sound like? And the answer would probably be, I haven't got a fucking clue. They were never meant to have guitars in them. That's about it. Meant to have guitars in them, be an amalgam of the sweet fucking Ramones, Pistols, Motorhead, Kiss, fucking Big Black, Venom, early Metallica, Cheap Trick. It's one of those things where I wonder, I don't know if I would like the band. If I wasn't in the band, would I like the band? We do have a few fans who, do seem passionate, but don't seem to like an awful lot about the group. And every time we're doing something, oh, it was all right, but it was better when insert band member of choice. I get the feeling that those people probably wouldn't be happy whatever the Wild Arts did. So yeah, I would ask myself, what do you think the band should sound like? And I would say, I don't fucking know. As far as I'm concerned, the Wild Arts is just a big ship, and I'm the captain of this ship, and I've been steering it for a very long time, and I'll continue to steer it, and I'll get past those fucking rocks, and you can all get on or off at will. Brendan Mahoney asks, you've spoken honestly about the problems with the last lineup of the Wild Arts. In the spirit of balance, could you tell us one positive quality that each of the former bandmates brought? Loving the podcasts. Great to hear new stories and intros. All right, Brendan, thank you for your question. One positive quality from the last lineup. Danny was always very, very up. He was always very positive and happy and chipper and excited. And he was the one that he was the reason why people liked us. We didn't have another person in the band who was as instantly likable as Danny. So I think he was a lot of the reason why people gravitated towards the band and why we had a really active social life, because he used to bring people on board. He's a very kind of socially active fellow, and I always loved that about Danny. And as he's got older, he's lost his shine a little bit. He's not as gregarious and up on life, but he's still alive, and that's all that matters. But yeah, there was a time when Danny was the beacon. He was the positive one. CJ always prided himself on looking good. He always looked the part. He would always rock up looking good. So he always brought an image thing to the band, which I gather that's why people miss that element, the image thing. But it was always a big thing for CJ to look sharp. So yeah, that was a positive thing on him. Rich was always reliable. I always used to depend on Rich for things. Like, if I was doing an album, I'd depend on Rich to be there from the arrangements of the songs, and then getting the songs together, like in demos or home demos, and then be at the studio with me. And we would always be together at the studio. So yeah, I kind of relied on him being there. But it's always a dangerous thing to rely on. People should never rely on anyone. Trust them and love them, but don't rely on people. That's what I've found in my tenure on this fucking ball. Steve Pluck asks, what was it like being in the studio with Lemmy and Michael for the Sensory Overdrive sessions? It was fucking rubbish. It was awful. And I'll tell you for why. We had a producer called Jack Douglas. Jack Douglas is one of my favourite producers of all time. And I've got more records with Jack Douglas's name on the back than any other producer. He's worked with everyone. The Babies, Angel, Cheap Trick, fucking Alice Cooper, name them. Fucking billions of them. Aerosmith, But he's an old school producer, and he rules with a rod of iron. And his thing was, no one drinks at the studio, otherwise he walks. Any of the bands start drinking and he walks. He was sober, obviously, and an American sober means you're going to be sober as well as me, because that's American democracy. I do it, you're doing it. So he said, if anyone drinks at the studio, he'll walk. And I said, well, Lemmy's coming. Is it going to be okay for me to have a drink? And he went, if I see you having one drink with Lemmy, I'm off the project. And so I'm sitting there, and Lemmy's got a bottle of whiskey, and he's pouring me a drink, and I'm going, Lemmy, I can't have a drink. And he was like, what do you mean you can't have a drink? Have a fucking drink. And I'm like, I get what you mean, but then I'm going to be screwing the band over if I have a drink. Personally, I would love to join you. And he said, well, what kind of band is that? And I remember that, and never forgot it. Whatever I want to do in my life, I don't force it on anyone else that I'm working with. If I don't want to drink, someone else wants to drink, it's none of my fucking business. Can you do the job or not? That's the only thing. That's probably a bit more of an English diplomacy. Can you do the fucking job? Then great. But yeah, I hated that session because I wasn't allowed to have a drink and party with Lemmy. And it just felt lonely. It felt like he was by himself, drinking by himself. Ugh, horrible. One of those things where if it's something that you want to do and you feel strongly about it, fucking good on you. Very commendable to follow your passion and follow your virtues, where your virtues lead you. But when you start enforcing it on other people, all you're doing is you're making unhappiness. I'll leave that out there.